Captain Arvind Kumar and Wing Commander Manish Chandra to join us now on stage. And with respect to time, since we're running a little short and we have another formidable session ahead of us chaired by Air Chief Marshal Chaudhry after the tea break, we have now a Q&A, and I'd request the audience to come in with your questions, your comments, so that we can address them to the different officers and make this as engaging and interactive as possible.
Jain sir, this side sir. Sir, I am Major Amit Sharma sir. I just want to highlight sir, during Op Sindoor we have observed that our western adversary has employed NATO tactics in aerospace and aero power. Sir, what is this threat and what mitigation measures we are working out? Second, sir, we have talked about our grand strategy. India as a nation, we have no formal document on national security strategy yet. And first, do we need to work out our objectives, vision, and then talk about grand strategy? Or are we following path of Western power where they have their grand strategy? That's all, sir.
Thank you. We'll maybe club 2 or 3 questions together, and then you can signal to me which ones you want to take in what order. So it's 2 there on the operational front and the grand strategy.
Good afternoon. Good morning, sir. Over here. Good morning, sir. My name is Group Captain Thapa. I'm coming from AWSC, Air Headquarters. First of all, my compliments for an educative and informative talk on the contours of security environment. My question is, with the modern technology, we have seen that there is a proliferation of cheap weapon systems, which is available now with everyone. It is causing the democratization of the warfare. So in line of that, where do you think the relevance of military deterrence lie? Because even small nations, even non-state actors, they feel that they can wage a war, sustain a war, or defend themselves. So where do we see the relevance of military deterrence, or do we need to graduate it onto a whole of nation kind of a deterrence in which the diplomacy, politics, and even economic deterrence should be a combined part of it? Thank you.
Great. A third question or comment? Yes, sir, please.
Two parts. One is, of course, a comment. I think we discussed a lot about cost benefit, especially of air power. I think there is no greater example. You covered Kosovo, but I think what we did in Op Sindoor, 50 weapons can bring an adversary to the talking table. So I think that is an example that should be studied, and I'm sure it will be studied subsequently. Maybe it is too short a time since the operations have ended. That's one comment I would like to make. Secondly, I would like to argue that we are giving too much of importance to unmanned systems. While they have a place and relevance in modern warfare, but the kind of weight of attack, the kind of intelligence required, the kind of damage they will cause, and the costs involved. You have to see whether that marries up or balances with the kind of weight of attack which aerial platforms, manned aerial platforms can bring to the table. Because that can make a huge difference to bringing an adversary to ensure that you do the right signaling and coercive diplomacy that we talk of, or compellence that we are talking of. If you work out unmanned systems versus manned systems, I think manned systems still have a huge advantage and will remain for some time to come.
Great. With that, I think you have a good spectrum of questions and comments. Maybe you don't need to address the comment, only if you wish. Over to you. In what order?